Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking about kidney beans, and I have a list of tips and ideas for you for using kidney beans. So if you're looking for some new recipe ideas or tips for using them, hopefully this will help you out. When you're using canned beans of any type, unless the recipe calls for using the liquid in the cans, you typically would rinse and drain those beans first before using them. That liquid that's in the can is kind of thick and extra starchy, and a lot of times it's high in sodium unless you bought a salt-free or sodium-free or low-sodium variety of beans. And those extra ingredients, especially the salt, may not be a welcome addition to your recipe, your intended use for those beans. Along those same lines, canned beans of any type are often processed with added salt. So unless you bought a salt-free variety or one with low salt variety, be sure that you're cutting back some on the added salt in your recipe that you use those beans in. Even if you rinse them off, they're still going to have some of that extra sodium within those beans, the canned beans. And so you want to accommodate for that and adjust for that as you go and you use them in whatever recipe you're using them from. If you don't want to bother with that and salt is a real issue for you, or sodium, then you would want to opt for a salt-free variety of canned kidney beans or whatever kind of beans you're using at that time, and that will eliminate that problem. When you're cooking dried beans and you're not sure how much it's going to yield, it's a typical thing for dried beans to triple in size when they are cooked. So if a recipe calls for using dried beans and you're not sure how much you're going to yield, and you don't want to bother with soaking them and cooking them, you can simply use canned beans instead, but just to remember that conversion rate between the two, that you can substitute 2 15-ounce cans of beans for every 1 cup of uncooked dried beans in a recipe. Because 1 cup of unsoaked, uncooked dried beans will generally yield about 3 cups of cooked beans, whereas 1 15-ounce can usually has about 1.5 cups to 1.75 cups beans in it. If you're using canned beans, kidney beans we're talking about here, and you aren't going to use the whole can, please do not leave them, the extra ones, in the can and throw the can in the refrigerator. Oh, they're likely going to pick up a metallic flavor if you do that, and that's really not the best way to store them. You want to rinse them and drain them for sure, and then just put them in another airtight kind of container and put them in the refrigerator that way. Something that has a lid to it, but just not the original can. And then you want to use them up within about 4 days or so. Kidney beans are very high in fiber, and that fiber helps to improve our digestion, helps to feed our gut microbiome, and so forth. But if you're not used to eating beans on a regular basis, and then you suddenly increase your intake of beans, you know what's going to happen. You're going to be very musical out the back end, right? And so you don't want to experience that extra boost of gas that you may get. And that comes from the microbes in our intestinal tract eating on the fiber that's in those beans, and they actually produce the gas along the way, and that's what causes us to release it when we really don't want to. So to help avoid that, if you want to start eating more beans, don't just go from no beans to a lot of beans. That's an invitation for a lot of problems. You want to just slowly increase the amount of beans that you eat over time and give your gut microbiome a chance to adjust to that. They will increase in numbers, and that will help to even out the amount of gas that's produced, and you won't be producing as much gas and releasing as much gas as you might have if you just went from 0 to a whole bunch. Rather, just increase it slowly, and your body will have a chance to get used to it, and eventually you won't have any issue with the gas. If you have a recipe that calls for kidney beans and you don't have any, don't have enough, or they're dried, you don't have time to soak them and cook them, no issue. There are other beans that can be substituted for them. They may have a slightly different flavor, but nevertheless they can be used as substitutes. How about small red beans, pink beans, pinto beans, or even cranberry beans can be used as a substitute for kidney beans. Canned beans of any type are cooked and do not have to be cooked any further. Yes, you do want to heat them up, but they don't have to be cooked for any extended period of time because they're already completely cooked, and they can just be rinsed off and added to your recipe as needed. And you can easily add some extra flavor to your cooked beans by cooking them with some aromatics like some onion or garlic or herbs of choice. Examples would be rosemary or thyme, parsley, and or a bay leaf. You can make a quick and easy soup by combining some vegetable broth, a can of rinsed and drained kidney beans, a bunch of your favorite greens, whatever it is, and some other vegetables as desired. Carrots and celery would all work well. Add a little onion, a little parsley, thyme, salt, and pepper. And then if you want to thicken the soup any and make it heartier, you can add some cubed potatoes along the way as you're cooking, or even some rice to it. If you've got rice that's already cooked, you can add it at the end. If you have rice that needs to be cooked, add it toward the beginning and it'll cook along with everything else. And it doesn't really take that long to cook a soup like this. Put everything in the pot, let it simmer for 45 minutes to an hour, and the flavors will blend and it'll be ready to go. Really easy. I do hope this helps you out. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Take care. Bye for now.